Good afternoon. Welcome to this new episode here at Kapwa Filipino, which is the Indigenous Path Foundation podcast. We're lucky and privileged to have with us today Nathan Wayne Ariston, and he is very generous to share with us about his journey being a Teduray. Teduray, when I look at it on the news, I was beaming with pride. I said, "Oh my gosh, Teduray, di ba yun? Mga lumad, sabi ko. And he is a cum laude graduate at Yale. So I was having goosebump, right? And that is after I came from a long day at work. But then I said, that's why we do what we do, because sometimes we encounter news like this at home. And so I reached out right away and I said, let me try my luck if he has time to share for the podcast, because we know that he is a gem for our community. And I also watched one of the episode where he said he is very, very, very much into advocating for the indigenous youth. So today we have here Ariston. How do you call Ariston in Teruray? Do you have indigenous name, if you don't mind?
Uh,
Yay, here we
well,
go.
hi. Hello. I think if I'm not mistaken, my great grandfather
Uh-huh.
changed our last name into
Mhm.
something that sounded more English. I think Ariston sounds more Greek, actually. So,
Mm.
I don't exactly remember what our very old last name was.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so it's I guess it's a tiny trinket of well,
So
not trinket,
Ariston,
tiny.
so Ariston is uh, an English or it's a
Yeah,
Greek.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a residue of colonialism, I guess. Yeah, at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe before we start, give us like a geographic description of where is this UPE or UPI, diba? UPE. Because
Yes.
when I
Upi. Yeah.
Google it, yeah, when I Google it, what somebody said, "Oh, I'm very very happy we have one UPE coming out from Yale," and I said, "Yes, we have Filipinos coming out from Yale again." So we're
Yeah.
beaming with pride for you, Ariston. Thank you so much for the pride that you brought to all of us. And
Oh, thank you for inviting me. Yeah.
yeah, and so let's start. Um, as how old are you now, if you don't mind? I know you
Oh, yeah.
graduated from Philippine Science School, right?
Yeah.
20,
Philippine Science High
is it
School. Yeah.
2025? No, sorry. We're 2025,
2021.
2021. I was
Yeah.
counting.
COVID times. Yeah.
Yeah, 2021. So right after graduation, you went to Yale. Is that what happened? And
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
long did you finish the course? It took you almost 4 years?
Uh, 4 years. Yeah.
4 years.
Like normal. Yeah. 4 years. Uh-huh.
Okay. So before we go into the details of you coming abroad, going abroad, and proceeding with the endeavor of your studies, can you tell us, growing up as a Teruray, tell us more about your place, about your community. And I look at your background; it's beautiful.
Oh, my background on
Yeah, tell us more
it's a
about.
place at
Tell us more
it's a
because
place
I
at Yale.
am.
This.
Yeah, I am from Cordillera, from
Mm-hmm.
Benwang, Sadanga Mountain Province. I look at the Philippine
Ah.
map. I look at the Philippine map. It says, I am from the top, almost Batanes, and then you're all the way
Oh. Yeah.
south. So it's
Yeah.
like I'm
Yeah.
from the northernmost and you're from the
Mm-hmm.
southernmost. So
Mm-hmm.
tell
Mm-hmm.
us how is it growing up in the south, and I will tell you how is it growing up in
I
the
was
north. Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
I guess I'll tell you more about my ancestry. I guess. Wait,
Okay.
is that
If
something I could
yeah,
do? Okay.
please.
Okay. Yeah. So, actually, my Teruray or Teduray
Mhm.
ancestry is not that dominant anymore because it's my grandfather who's like a full-blooded Teduray, or I think my great grandfather actually.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom is a full-blooded Ilocano, so from the north. So my mom is actually from the north. Uh, and but my it's my father's father's father who's Teduray. So the last name is or it's known to be like the Tedurays in Upi.
So
So
great grandfather.
that
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So that's some background there. Uh, like Upi is we have a motto in our town we call Haven of an Empowered Tribe People. It's because it's sort of a melting pot of various different cultures from the Maguindanao, who are Muslims who were here when the Spanish and the Americans colonized us. Then there's the Tedurais who are indigenous in the lands of Upi and Maguindanao and Sultan Kudarat as well towards the south. And then there's the settlers, whom some of my other ancestors came from, Ilocos, Iloilo, and Visayas. So it really is. There's like we speak like at least three languages, or I don't
Mm-hmm.
really speak them that like I don't really speak them that fluently, but I could sort of understand Ilocano and Ilonggo and Git, or Cebuano, and then there's also Maguindanao and there's Teduray. It's a beautiful mix of of cultures that I did not know I was very privileged to grow up in. Because I visited other places and then I saw, oh, what a homogenous place, right? uh, but so it was something that I didn't know was very very important in how I grew up. Culture wise, it was there were a lot of different sometimes contradictory uh practices and attitudes towards living your life, but there are quite a few uh, uh, traditions, or I'd say attitude, that my parents passed on to me, which I can talk about more later.
Mm-hmm.
And you asked about how it's like living down there, down there in the south. I mean.
Right.
Uh, it's so Upi is a landlocked town. We
Mm-hmm.
don't have access to the sea, but there's a lot of rivers. Livelihood is mostly farming,
Mm-hmm.
specifically corn. Corn is like the main product
Mm-hmm.
of our lands. But my father farms rice, so there's also rice. There's rice on the plains, which are I guess what I call the normal rice. But then there's also I forgot what we call them. The
Heirloom.
rice on the hills, on the
Paddies. The
hills.
paddies. You have
Yeah, yeah,
paddies as well? The one that goes
yeah,
like
yeah,
this, rip rap. Okay, okay.
yeah. But just little ones,
Okay,
not like
okay.
not like the huge ones
Mm-hmm.
in the Cordilleras.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Uh, so and then a bunch of other like local produce like kamote or
Mm-hmm.
what do you say? We call it kapuk. Oh, kamoteng kahoy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Cassava in
Cassava.
English.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. We call them kafuk in
Mm-hmm.
in Teduray. Uh, although, yeah. It's hugely agricultural. At least when I was growing up. Now it's sort of transitioning into
Oh,
like sort of
suburban.
booming into. I guess. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but uh, it was it's Upi itself is 500 meters above sea level, so we are actually on the hilltops.
Mm-hmm.
Although we are also surrounded by a bunch of mountains, so it's also a valley that's just raised up high.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, and we have an annual celebration we call the Miglayaya Festival, or it's a Thanksgiving festival every December 22nd,
Mm.
and we invite uh, our surrounding towns to celebrate with us. We have grilled corn on like stretches and stretches of miles and miles of road. That
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
they're just all lined up, and then people are grilling their corn, and then they
Mm-hmm.
eat them all together. We have street dancing competitions. We have uh, speakers who are native to the town,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just such a lively celebration that I sort of miss because recently when I
Mm-hmm.
was going to Yale, I almost always miss it because I go home late in December and I
Yeah.
get there when all the
Yeah. Yeah.
festivities are gone, you know.
Uh,
So I was missing out the past 4 years.
mm,
Yeah. So
all right.
yeah, I guess that's how it was. Like a brief overview of how it was growing up. Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like a typical when you say landlocked, right? Because when you look at the
Mm-hmm.
map, it's the Upe is like within the Sultan Kudarat on top of it, and then you got Upe,
Mm-hmm.
and then you got Maguindanao, right?
Uh, it's backwards. So
Oh,
there's
backwards.
Maguindanao and then Sultan Kudarat is to the south.
Oh, to the
Yeah.
south, further down, right? So, Sultan
Yeah.
Kudarat.
Sultan Kudarat, the province.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you mean it's really interesting when you meant that your mother is from the north and your father is from the south, and she is
Mm-hmm.
Ilocano, which
Uh-huh.
specifically in Ilocos. Is it in Ilocos or neighboring
Ilocos
towns?
Sur, I think.
Oh, Ilocos
Somewhere in Ilocos Sur
Sur. Okay, okay.
is where her ancestors are from.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what a combination, Ariston. So look at you. Perfect combination of
Mhm.
the northernmost and the southernmost, and you have a
Oh,
Yale
and
product,
my dad
right?
has Ilonggo. My dad also is a
Is
little. He
Ilonggo.
also has some
Okay, okay.
Ilonggo.
So how many languages do you speak? Bisaya,
Oh,
Ilocano.
fluently, I only speak three. I
Okay.
don't speak Ilocano.
Oh, you don't speak
Like I
Ilocano.
barely speak it,
Nga
but I can
maawatam.
understand it. Ah,
Maawatam,
ah,
basit.
basit
Basit.
lang.
Basit laang.
Ah.
Ah, imbag.
uh,
You know why yeah, because that's what happened when you are living in a melting pot. So let me
mhm.
tell you about the north, a little bit of the north. So,
Yeah, please,
uh,
please. Yeah.
yeah, the northern part of the Cordillera. Let's zero in Baguio. So
Mm-hmm.
Baguio is, it's I think it's now 5 to 8 hours away from Manila. Now you go down. No, you from Manila all the way to La Union is just flat. It's plain. You're just
Mm-hmm.
driving on the plains, right? The central Luzon. Now,
Yeah, yeah.
once you hit La Union, that's where you have this ocean, the sea, and then
Mm-hmm.
from there is like that's the ocean, right? The zero how do you call it? Sea level, right?
Elevation.
And then
Yeah,
suddenly
yeah.
you go up like zigzag, and now you keep
Mm-hmm.
chewing because then the pressure build up on your ear.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So as you go higher, the pressure builds up in your ear, and that's how you feel when you go higher. You know, you get
Mm-hmm.
how do you call
Mm-hmm.
that? The atmosphere gets thinner, right?
Yeah. I've been to
S-
Baguio. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So you
Uh-huh.
go further. You go further. So Baguio is you're already on the top, right? You go further,
Mm-hmm.
navigate. You go northernmost, and 8 hours away from there is you are navigating Benguet. Then
Mm-hmm.
you have Sagada, you go
Yeah.
Bontoc, and then you go
Mm-hmm.
Kalinga, and then you go circle, and then you go north, then you go Ilocos. Isn't that beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
And then again, you hit the ocean,
The sea.
the
Yeah.
sea. Yes, because we're like floating. So wherever you go in the Philippines, there will always be landlocked areas, but a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. 2 hours away from
Mm-hmm.
that, like 2 hours from Baguio, is La Union, so we can enjoy the ocean. But the
Mm-hmm.
most beautiful part of living in the mountain is having to love number one. The cold season makes you feel like it's always chill. You know, you feel
Mm-hmm.
chill. You feel slow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unlike
Yeah.
living in
Yeah.
the
I feel
valley,
that.
like in the south. That's why when you see our dance, we're always like,
Mm-hmm.
we're always like close. We're cold. But when you go down
Uh-huh.
south, they're like always happy. They're always free flowing.
Very jiggly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Big, but not in the mountain. Mountain life is chill, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like life is so slow. That's why we look at the sun. Our time can be, you say it's 4 o'clock, but it's actually like, oh no, it's time for dinner already. Yeah, it depends on the length of the sun, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's how we look at time. It's by the season, it's by the movement of the sun. And if it's short, if the sun gets shorter, you can imagine, like if this is the mountain and you are climbing, suddenly the sun gets down, suddenly it gets dark.
Yeah.
So you have to run.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that is growing up in the mountain. So we learn to navigate the mountain by being barefooted, because then your feet can memorize everything and you can feel the earth.
Yeah.
Yep. So that leads me to the question. You are a mix of the north and the southern part, and with indigenous background in the south, and of course your mother. And I heard she's a teacher, right? Your mom is a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the let's say, because in this podcast we always ask this question, the indigenous wisdom or the wisdom you learn from your elders, if you could share it with us.
Uh
This are
so
the it's kind of like your guiding light you learn from your elders, that when you went abroad you were able to test it, that these are enduring wisdom from my elders, from my ancestors. What would that be?
mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I
Uh-huh.
think there's something that my grandfather always reminds me of, right?
Uh-huh.
My grandfather is still living. He's in OP right now. He's just chilling there.
Uh,
uh, he when I was younger, and I think this also reflects the uh, regular attitude of the Teduray.
mm,
And I guess you could also see this in the history of of how the Teduray adjusted with the changing times
mm,
from from ever since like the American colonization up until today. Uh, and my grandfather always says uh, uh, to he always reminds me to always have an open mind, to always it's sort of I don't know if this is what you're sort of expecting, because you know it's sort of not really it's not antithetical to being traditional. It's just knowing how to adjust to new things in life, to new
mm,
opportunities. So my grandfather always it always reminds me that uh, I should I should I should know how to react to change. Uh, and he said that his personal application of this idea that his forefathers also told him is I think his generation was the first uh, to encounter the Americans, or maybe
mm,
the second generation actually to
uh-huh,
encounter the Americans. Uh, and I don't think there was a lot of American activities in our town specifically. There was a lot in Mindanao for sure,
mm,
uh, but in our town specifically, I think only like a small fraction of the soldiers and educators got there. It's
mm,
way up in the mountains, so I don't know how the Americans really dealt with that. Uh, but so my grandfather said that his father,
mm,
who's also an educator, who also became an educator, I should say, uh, recognized the sort of the changing times as the Americans came,
mm,
the new culture that they're sort of imposing, and uh, at to some extent some culture that they are sort of trying to erase. So my great grandfather recognized that, and the way he sort of adapted to it was he he became he sort of trained with the Americans to become an educator,
mm,
uh, in order to be the one to establish the schools
mm,
in our surrounding areas, while maintaining the cultures of the Teduray. With that, like him being the supervisor of the whole thing, uh, means that the Americans would sort of, you know, just leave it to him, and then he could sort of he could keep the cultures that he wanted to keep. So
mm.
I think that's sort of it was a wise move to
For sure, yeah.
to train to become the educator. So it's sort
Mm,
of he wasn't being too close minded in, you know, just keeping things uh So in this action of sort of strategizing, I would say
Uh-huh.
it was a sort of a strategy in the changing times, as I said. So that's the lesson that my great grandfather sort of taught my grandfather, and that's something that he keeps on repeating on me uh, as I was growing up. I should say that I really thank my grandfather. Whenever people ask me who's your inspiration, or if there's one person who really inspired you the most
Uh-huh.
in your studies, they always ask about studies. Uh, but I say in life in general, in just the outlook in living, it's my grandfather. He he really inspired me to stay grounded, but at the same time, go with this way, the flow of how the times are changing.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's a beautiful concept that my
It
grandfather
is.
really
It is.
instilled in me.
I
Yeah.
was about to ask you that as a follow up question, but you said it beautifully that whenever someone asks you about your inspiration, you speak of the lessons you learned from your great grandfather. And
Mm-hmm.
because my question is supposed to be like in your academic journey, we know that with the crunch of the academic requirements, especially you are at Yale. Imagine it's an
Yeah.
Ivy League school, right? And having that wisdom from your grandfather, I'm sure you tested how it helped you. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a very beautiful combination of your cultural identity. At the same time, you being your person, you're very good. You were raised beautifully and you are who you are really because of the people around you and your immediate,
Exactly.
yeah, and
Yes.
the immediate people who influenced you. And it's very
Mm-hmm.
inspiring to know that elders have an influence on you. That's why that's how who you are. You are who you are because
Mm-hmm.
of your great
Mm-hmm.
grandparents. And I wanted to share as well that um, in the north, I'm not sure which time frame did the Americans came in Mindanao, especially in
I
Upeg.
think yeah, I think around 1920s, around that time,
20s, yeah. Because when I look at
until
my
World War II. Yeah.
yeah, when I recall my grandfather, he was the one who taught me how to calculate, do my math, and he
Oh, same with
was,
my grandfather.
yeah, right. And he was, I
Uh-huh.
was, I was 9 years old or 8 years old, and he was about 50s. So I'm thinking they were the ones who survived the Japanese War and the American War. But the good things that they talk about these people are actually the education they got from the Americans. So it's wise for them to really learn what they need to learn so that they can understand who they are. But then they go back to
Mhm.
their community and say, this is how we interpret it and this is how we are living it. Like how your great grandfather did. Like, okay, give us the education, but then I have to educate my people the way it
Yes.
is
Yeah.
in consonance with how it's supposed to be taught to our people.
Hmm.
And that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that will transition to my next question, and which is the your interest in physics. Why physics? Because we know most of the presidents are graduates of Yale, like Bill Clinton, former
Oh yeah,
presidents, right?
a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of
Mhm.
them.
The
Is
Supreme Court
senior,
justices.
yes, senior Bush. So I'm thinking, why not lawyer? Why not law? Sorry, why not law?
Hmm.
Why
Hmm.
physics? And I'm so happy because I love math. It's just that
Uh,
it looks like numbers don't like me. So I choose a different path.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
I see. I hear
So
that from a lot of people.
yeah.
You're
So
not alone.
physics, it's very, very, very beautiful for an indigenous person like you, where you're igniting a light for all of us that we should really, really look into understanding physics. Yeah.
I really hope
Uh-huh.
that that's the case
Uh-huh.
because, well, okay, to answer your first question, my grandfather also, and my father, and everybody, as you said, it's every single
Yeah.
person
So
who
your mother
surrounds
is a
me, right?
teacher. Your
Yeah.
grandfather
Hmm.
is maybe a war veteran.
My
He
grandfather was a teacher as well and an
okay,
educator.
and your father.
Mhm. Is well, he has a farm now.
So okay, so
uh,
he farms. Of course, he applies
mhm.
everything there, physics, everything. So
Yeah.
and then
Uh,
you went to science school, right? Philippine
hmm
Science
hmm
School. And I'm so proud that Maguindanao has science school because in the north,
uh,
I think we only have Manila Science School,
oh,
Manila
oh.
Science School.
Well, now actually, well, the Philippine Science High School that I went to
Uh huh.
wasn't in Maguindanao.
Oh,
That's actually another challenge that I had to deal with
where is it?
because
Where is
it's
the?
in it's in the province of Lanao del Norte, which is
Okay.
6 hours away from home.
How many hours? Did you say 6?
6. hmm
Mm.
So that was yet another big challenge that I had to overcome because I was separated from my parents when I was 12,
Uh huh.
and I had to go to uh, Lanao. I could only visit home maybe 4 or 5 times a year. That
Mm-hmm.
already includes Christmas and summer vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So only when there's like long weekends,
Mm-hmm.
only then could I come back home. So that was another big challenge that I had to overcome. For which I just clung to what my grandfather always tells me to just stay open and
Mm-hmm.
explore the world as much as you can. Which brings me back to physics
Mm-hmm.
because this sort of attitude of just exploring the world or just having an open mind also breeds curiosity.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Uh, and this curiosity of mine, uh, I'd say in Tagalog, people say kulit. Like I keep on asking questions that are sort of just some adults would find like annoying or
Uh-huh.
or makulit. Yeah, makulit.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, which because I'd always ask, okay, so why do plants grow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the
True.
chemicals and something stuff in there, and then okay, well, how do the chemicals in them work? And then that goes to chemistry, and then okay, well, how do atoms work? What are they made out of? And then
Yeah.
that turns to physics, and then if you just follow this sort of train of why are things working, how are things working, you
Mm-hmm.
sort of a natural settling point is physics. That's sort of I could say a fundamental. It's called the fundamental science. It's sort of the very basic questions are in physics.
Mm-hmm.
So that was sort of a natural settling point for me to just do physics. And I also liked math, and I got lucky that math also liked me.
Fantastic.
Uh,
You are blessed.
yeah, yeah. uh, Thanks to my grandfather who also taught me math. Like
Mm-hmm.
the most
Mm-hmm.
basic math I learned from my grandfather. Uh, and so yeah, physics and math was sort of the natural
Your partners.
settling point.
Mm-hmm.
And so uh, I would say that in general,
Uh-huh.
uh, and this is I'm not saying this is how it should be. I'm saying this is how I observe things to be in reality.
Mm-hmm.
It's that indigenous peoples like us are we sort of are uh, not or we sort of a little left behind by the institutions that let's say our government are putting forward. They usually benefit uh, more privileged peoples who came from in our town, at least settlers they call.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that's sort of an unfortunate reality,
Mm-hmm.
and even more specifically towards the sciences. Uh, I am not very aware of uh, major or like big or even small representations of indigenous people in the sciences, physics and math
That's true.
specifically. That's why I am very hopeful that uh, at least this achievement of mine, no matter how small it may be, is sort of a spark to ignite inspiration and representation towards young Teduray specifically
Mm-hmm.
minds
Mm-hmm.
to show them that we can do it. Like in Tagalog, Meron tayong maibubuga. Something like that. So specifically in physics and math. I hope that no matter how small, there's something that this achievement of mine has done to them.
It's not small, it's huge. There are only few people who
Thank you.
can enter Yale, right? In your generation, you can count them on your fingers, or you're the first person I know who graduated
Yeah.
from Yale, taking physics,
Uh-huh.
physics in general. Yeah. And then
Mhm.
you mentioned about the challenges, right? Which I can relate. You mentioned the very significant one where the government are not looking at the opportunities and building opportunities to create interest into other fields of studies, specifically
Mhm.
for indigenous people who have a very limited access to education. Like your age, it's you're already 20 something, right? I
Yeah,
have to
32.
go. Yeah, I have to go to Manila for me to. Yeah, yay! I have to go to Manila for me to access higher education. But that
Oh,
is higher education, right? But
yeah,
imagine this: you are on your seventh grade. I have to travel by foot 4 hours from our village. We have to cross the mountains
yeah.
so we could go to Bontoc. And
Hmm.
then, you know what we do there? We carry our firewood, our rice, and then by foot we
Yeah, so,
trek the mountains. And then, if it rain, what happened to our supply?
sweat.
We run out of supply. So what we do? We labor in the neighboring town, and we go work for them on weekend.
Oh,
That's what we do because, like what you're saying, we lack classrooms on my generation, and I'm not that old. You can be my
mm,
son, but I'm not that old. But but that's what happened. So for you to go to school, you have to do that. So we go home also once a week, or if it's not raining, if the weather is good. So maybe twice a month we go home. And once we go home, what do? We go work in the farm so that we have supply to
yeah,
bring home. And there's a simple story just to share you about
yeah,
the interest on education, right? So one day there is a father in it's a story that circulates not necessarily in our place. He said, "Ama, um, uh, atana kasipin ko, give me some money so I could buy verb." And then how much? And then the child said, 10,000. And then the father said, you know what? That's very verb is too expensive. For me to have 10,000, I would have to sell a Carabao. So
yeah,
stop buying verb or stop going to school because verb is expensive. So
yeah.
when I say verb, the education is too expensive, right?
Hmm.
So that is our challenges. And you said it perfectly in one of your interviews that you're calling in on the government to prioritize building structures, start from the structures, and of course, like what you said, variations and curriculum focus.
Hmm.
How do we build interest on mathematics, physics? Because like what you said, meron tayong maibubuga. We can do this. Hindi lang ako ang
Yes, I
pwedeng
totally
mag-Yale,
believe
di
that.
ba?
Yeah.
And I
Yes,
like
yes,
that spirit
exactly.
because that's the reason why you're here. To share that spirit that kung meron tayong maibubuga dahil kaya ko. All it takes is a village, right? Magtulungan tayo. Start from
Yeah.
your family, from your great grandparents. Listen to them. And then, of course, we have the most important thing is, of course, coming from your own grit, from your own determination to recognize that I can do something with my interest, with my curiosity, with my kakulitan, that I can be yeah, I can achieve
Yeah.
great things. And you graduated cum laude. How does that feel? You
Uh,
dominated, in other words, your batch. You dominated everybody.
well, yeah. There's this feeling of I feel very proud
Hmm.
for
For sure.
for myself. I guess a bit arrogant, but yeah, I feel
No,
very proud for
you
myself
have to.
for for my family who have stood
Mm-hmm.
like the whole way from since when I was young until now. Very thankful of my parents, uh, and my grandparent, my grandfather specifically. Uh, but I think I mentioned this in my interview in our local radio station.
Mm-hmm.
I said there's still so much work to be done, and what I
Mm-hmm.
mean by that is, uh, I really wish that opportunities like these opportunities like what I have encountered,
Uh-huh.
uh, I really wish that these could be given to more people,
Yeah.
to the people who are deserving. And I believe that there are a lot of people who are deserving, especially from UP. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the people praise me. People say, "Oh, you must be really smart. You must be really hardworking in whatever you do." Uh, but then I always say, "Yeah, but then look around you. Everybody is very smart. Everybody is very hardworking. Uh, but I just got very lucky to have been given this opportunity to be in the first place to get into Philippine Science High School and study there, and then eventually to Yale. But I really wish that I didn't have to get lucky. That nobody else has to just get lucky to be able to, get these opportunities. So that's sort of an abstract sort of goal that I have in my mind. Idealistic, some people would say, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, and I don't really have concrete, advocacies to like really support that. But that's sort of at least as of now.
You're
But
22, so we
yeah,
really, yeah. Your idealism is what we need. We need your idealism. So keep that. And your
thank you.
advocacy, it will
Uh,
come. It will come. You supporting podcasts like this, I have only like 132 followers. Can you believe that? I
mhm,
just started this one because like you, when I went abroad, can
yeah,
and I'm sure you share the same feeling as mine. Like your feeling of connectedness to where you came from gets strengthened when you're far from home, right?
true,
Did you feel that?
true. Somehow it
Yeah.
makes it's like it's sort of contradictory, but
It's
it
contradictory. Now you can
but
relate.
it is what happens.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you will find, and I hope one day, and I'm praying for you. We wish you all the best because I'm sure you will find
thank
that
you.
advocacy. You will find where you can intersect. And I know you can do this. Your indigenous knowledge and your scientific mind. You are trained by an Ivy League. You can imagine you fuse together, and that's going to be a very, very, very beautiful thing because you will be addressing community issues, which you lived, you're affected by it. So you know how to dig
Yeah,
into it and give solutions to it, right? So that is my wish for you. And I know you can do it. I know you can do it because
thank you so much. It's very empowering.
you're really an embodiment of the indigenous knowledge. At the same time, your life is like a perfect example. Like what you said, we can do this as a community. We can do this. So we don't have really that much time, but this is my question. What are
Oh,
you,
yeah.
because we're talking about advocacy, right? So what's in it for you moving on? So you just graduated, was it last month or 2 weeks ago?
To to
Oh,
May, sometime in May,
sometime
next
in
month, I
May,
think.
right?
Yeah.
So moving on, when you went back to the Philippines, what are you geeking into, or what are you planning into, if there's any?
Okay.
And if you want to share it with
So,
us, if not, then that's
oh
okay too.
yeah, 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 no, no, it's always fun. So, in my field, in my subfield in
Mm-hmm.
physics, uh, the natural next step in towards being a scientist, towards being a full time scientist, is taking a PhD. That's like
Mm-hmm.
that's more studies. Some people say.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that's what I'm planning on doing. In the next 5 years, I will be in Colombia for my PhD degree.
Is it the same?
Uh,
Is it still physics, or
yeah,
you're
yeah,
trying
it's
to
still gonna
specialize?
be
Okay.
yeah,
Why
yeah,
five
it's gonna be
years? Is it part of the
uh
program?
because it includes masters and then
Oh,
PhD.
got it,
It's
got it.
sort of a bundle. That's how they offer the program.
Okay.
So I got very lucky, and I got accepted there. I
Columbia
have
University.
at- yeah. At least now I have concrete plans for the next 5 years.
We're going to follow you
Uh,
there.
thing.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's the next step, and then after that, again, this is specific to my subfield. There's even more studying to be done.
Mm-hmm.
There's postdoctoral studies, or what they call them, and then like after like maybe a full decade, only then could you become a professor? Could you be offered a professor position or something like that? Now, to be completely honest, I don't really know what I'm gonna do after the 5 years of PhD.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not fully sure yet. It's too far into the future
Mm-hmm.
for me. But because you mentioned giving back, and I keep on saying this,
Mm-hmm.
that personally I really would want to go back. And my field is theoretical physics. So ideally I don't really have to be in a lab, or I don't really have to be in a specific place in the world to do my work. I
Mm-hmm.
could just have pen and paper and be done with it. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's that's how my work would work. Uh, so ideally, and also personally, I really would want to, settle in the Philippines, if not necessarily in UPI, maybe somewhere close, or even in some UP campus, maybe. Uh,
They're listening.
that's yeah. That is. Oh, right. that is a bit that is a bit far into the future, so I don't really know. Uh, I think the most concrete ways I could really give back to my community is, at least for now, the way I foresee things is just trying to inspire the young minds
Mm-hmm. Which we're
whose
doing now.
potential whose
Mm-hmm.
potential is there. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, so I could give talks, and, try to get people to take the opportunities that come their way, or get people empowered to give opportunities.
True. Mm-hmm.
Uh, things like that. Little things like that. I think would be good. Starting, baby steps.
That's right. Yeah.
Admittedly, they're just baby steps. There's a lot of work to be done, and
and
there's
and it's the
there's a lot of
hardest
like
and
it.
it's the hardest start, right, to really take that first
Yeah,
step. um
yeah.
yeah. And when you mean going into or being part of how do you call this, you say more education for you, would you be leaning towards being an educator, because you said you cannot be
Yeah,
in the lab, so being an educator
yeah.
would be
So
perfect.
in physics, at least in my field, being a professor is being a researcher, but
Mm.
also being a teacher.
Okay,
So you,
okay.
you teach classes, stuff like that. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I guess being an educator is in my blood. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah, like what you said. Yeah, and I think you manifest everything perfect, and you can be whoever you can imagine to be. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, if you get lucky, if I get lucky.
You always say
Uh,
being lucky, but you're not lucky because I'm sure you applied for the school, right? You did
mhm.
all the paperwork, you did all the application, and that takes a long process
Yeah,
before you get accepted. So
yeah.
that's not luck. You're just being humble, diba? Oh, diba?
Maybe.
Ang galing, ang galing, ang galing. So I think what we're trying to do moving on is we're going to track where is Mr. Ariston now in
Oh yeah, feel
in his
free, feel
path.
free. I'm
So we're going to do that.
uh,
Yeah. But for now, we really, really appreciate your time. We really appreciate you believing in us, believing with Capo Filipino that someday people who are listening here actually are people in the community. So what I'm going to do here is
yes.
I'll cut and then I'll just put a little bit. Let's say your attempt to do education on physics, And then maybe in
Mm-hmm.
the future, we can see how, let's say, I'll gather 10, 15 people who are interested in physics, how to apply to Ivy League, how to apply to Yale. Is that something you can help with too? Like the concrete, like
Yeah,
step
yeah.
one, step two, step three, how to
Oh yeah, absolutely.
survive
I would love to do
abroad,
that.
how to survive with all the. We haven't talked yet
Uh-huh,
about
uh-huh.
those stuff, right? We haven't
Yeah,
talked
yeah.
yet
So I could totally do that.
about
Yeah.
all those survival skills you develop for 4 years
Mm-hmm.
here in the U.S. and 4 years
Mm-hmm.
away from your parents because you live in Lanao del Norte, right?
Actually, at this point, already 10 years
Oh, 10
because
years now. See
in high
that?
school, I was also away.
There you
So
go.
6 years of high school and 4 years of college. So at this
A-
point, already 10 years.
And then another 10 years of
Yeah,
education for your postdoctoral is going to be like just like that. It's going to be, it gets
yeah,
easier, right? It
yeah.
gets easier. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you, Ariston. Is there anything
Thank you so
else?
much.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say? You want to post or you want to shout out? You want to thank?
Um, yeah, well, I think I already thanked a lot of the people that I really wanted to thank. Uh, I'll just maybe just say mention in general. There's there's no way I could have done this alone, right? It's just impossible. So there's countless people who have contributed to this. This achievement is not mine alone. There's my teachers in high school. I'm actually right now I'm in my uh, my high school dorm manager's place. I'm visiting
Mm-hmm.
just to just to catch up and so I'm in Lanao del Norte
You're
right
in
now.
Lanao del
Actually,
Norte.
I'm not at home.
Okay.
Uh, so uh, uh, so them, the people who received me very well, and the people who took great care of me, and the people who inspired me as well, like my high school teachers, uh, my and it all goes back to my grandfather, like the primal example of of my inspiration in my studies. Uh, so yeah, I think there's nothing much else that I wanted to say. Maybe I'll just say that your questions are really beautiful. I love them
Oh,
uh,
thank you.
because you took such a unique uh, standpoint in this conversation. Because a lot of the other people who talk to me just ask the same questions on how did you apply to Yale and how did you get in and,
We will ask this. We
what are
will
your
ask that too. Like what I said,
oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna bring.
but for now I
Yeah,
really appreciated
right.
your
I'm
questions.
glad. I'm glad.
Yeah and yeah, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
really reaching
We are
out. Yeah,
privileged. We are so happy to have you here, and we learn a lot from you, and we can relate. So I understand. But
one day maybe visit Upi.
of course, why not? But that's like all
Yeah.
the way down. So,
Mhm.
or
You have
are
to
you
take
guys
a
visiting?
2 hour flight.
Oh, okay, okay. Not
Yeah.
bad, not
From
bad,
Manila, it's a 2 hour flight. Yeah.
not bad.
So,
That's fine for me. Okay, Aris. Aris, thank you so
yeah.
much again. Mabuhay ka.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations again. At
Kaya rin po. Thank you so much.
ipagpatuloy mo ang pagbabandila ng ating flag, ng ating bandera, 'di ba? Ang ating bandera.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi kami na nandito nanonood sa iyo ay proud Pilipino, proud Pinoy. At kahit saan man ang marating mo, alam ko hindi mawawala ang iyong advocacy at ang iyong pagmamahal sa pinagmulan mo. Hindi nawawala yan sa'yo. Nakikita ko yan, naririnig ko yan, and it's natural on you. And I'm really, really
Thank you so
grateful.
much.
I'm thankful that we have Filipinos like you. It gives us a lot of hope. Thank you. You take care,
Well,
and hopefully, this is only the first time. We look forward to having and
yes.
hearing more
Yes.
from
Yeah.
you. Okay? Lalo na sa mga
Yeah.
physics natin, ha? Because we have a
Hi,
lot.
of course.
Maraming interesado talaga sa physics, at ikaw ang
Mm-hmm.
hahanapin namin. Thank you so
Mm-hmm.
much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Aris, thank
Yeah.
you. That's it for
Thank you.
now.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maraming
I hope you have a
salamat.
good evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening
Uh,
too. Thank
morning.
you. Okay. Maraming salamat sa pakikinig at maraming salamat ulit na natunghayan natin ang pagbabahagi ni Aris. At sana naman maraming namang ma-encourage na walang imposible at hindi swerte kundi dahil meron tayong maibubuga at kakayanin natin kung ano man ang pinapangarap natin. Maraming salamat. Thank you. Please follow and subscribe Kapo Filipino. Mabuhay tayong lahat.